The Galaxy S20 Ultra is Samsung's biggest Android phone and it lives up to its name. It is the first Samsung phone with a 120Hz display which is designed to deliver smoother motion when you are scrolling and especially playing games. You can also toggle between 60Hz and 120Hz in settings, which will come in handy if you want to save battery life. The Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra is made of glass and aluminium and it is protected by Corning Gorilla Glass 6. The specs of this smartphone rival the likes of laptops, meaning it's more than you will ever need. 7nm chipset, Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 in the US or Samsung's Exynos 990 in the UK and Europe, 16GB of RAM, 512GB of internal storage and a microSD card slot for expandable storage. The S20 Ultra has a 108MP 1.8 aperture main camera, a 48MP 3.5 aperture telephoto camera and a 12MP 2.2 aperture ultra-wide camera. There's also a time-of-flight depth camera on the back aiding portrait photos and 3D scans and a 40MP selfie camera on the front. It's Samsung's biggest camera sensor upgrade since the Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge. The main 108MP camera delivers great quality pictures with stunning details. The camera performed well in almost every light condition. The telephoto lens is capable of 10x lossless zoom and a crazy 100x space zoom. Pictures from the selfie camera delivers great dynamic range and quality. The Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra camera introduces 8K resolution video recording and steady stabilization. 8K is going to allow you to crop and edit video without sacrificing quality, while the 4K will give you more frame rate and zoom options. Samsung's super fast charging returns on the S20 Ultra up to 45W with an optional charger and 25W with the charger included in the box. Samsung equipped this phone with a massive 5000mAh battery, which is the biggest in a Galaxy S series device. Samsung Galaxy S20 has a lot of potential. Samsung promised something amazing will happen in 2020 and here it is. The P40 Pro features a quad curve overflow display with curved glass at all four edges. There are still very thin bezels at the top and bottom. The 6.58-inch screen on the HUAWEI P40 Pro has a resolution of 1200 by 2640. HUAWEI has increased the refresh rate of the screen to 90Hz, which is faster than the 60Hz of its previous phones, but not quite as fast as competing handsets like the S20 and Oppo Find X2 Pro that offer a 120Hz display. The HUAWEI P40 Pro is powered by the same Kirin 990 5G chipset that we have seen in the Mate 30 Pro 5G and Huawei's folding phone, the Mate XS. This is based on 7nm manufacturing technology and is plenty fast enough to keep up with the latest flagship phones. The processor is teamed up with 8GB of RAM and also currently the only high-end chipset with integrated 5G, meaning it will work well with the dedicated 5G networks of the future as well as with the current hybrid LTE/5G networks. If there's one thing that has made Huawei's P series phones stand out from the crowd, it's the camera tech. The P20 and P30 handsets raised the bar when it came to the mobile photography, and Huawei is looking to raise it higher again with the P40 Pro. On the rear section, the Leica branded camera setup composed of a 50MP primary and 40MP ultra-wide cameras and a 12MP telephoto camera that's capable of 5x optical zoom or 50x digital zoom. There's also a time-of-flight sensor for creating bokeh effect in portrait mode shots. With the P40 series, Huawei is debuting its XD Fusion engine, which uses AI to optimize your photos. Huawei was one of the first manufacturers to get on board with AI, and the results on the P40 Pro are impressive. The phone can remove frames from a picture and even reflections that appear when you are trying to photograph anything that's behind a glass. The P40 Pro also features impressive zooming capabilities, and Huawei isn't shy talking about that. Low-light photography has been a strong point for Huawei, and the P40 Pro doesn't disappoint on that front. The P40 Pro's rear camera layout is capable of shooting Ultra HD 4K video at up to 60 frames per second, as well as super slow motion at up to an eye-watering 7680 fps. Both modes are available on the ultra-wide and wide cameras. Up front is a 32MP selfie shooter backed up by laser-guided autofocus. The 32MP selfie shooter is able to capture lots of detail and color in almost all lighting conditions. The Huawei P40 Pro is equipped with a 4200mAh battery, which should last you a full day of moderate to heavy uses. It supports 40 watt fast wired charging as well as wireless charging and reverse wireless charging. iPhone 11 Pro Max smartphone was launched in September 2019. The phone comes with a 6.5-inch Super Retina XDR OLED touchscreen display with 83.7% screen-to-body ratio. It is powered by Apple A13 Bionic 7nm processor. It comes with 4GB of RAM. As far as the cameras are concerned, the iPhone 11 Pro Max on the rear packs triple camera setup consisting of a 12-megapixel main shooter and a 12-megapixel telephoto lens and a 12-megapixel ultra-wide lens. There are two cameras on the front for selfies. One is a 12-megapixel camera and another time-of-flight 3D camera. This device is based on iOS 13 and packs 512GB of inbuilt storage. It is powered by a 3969 mAh battery with 18-watt fast charging support. It was launched in space grey, silver, gold and midnight green colors. Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus smartphone was launched on 7th August 2019. The phone comes with a dynamic AMOLED 6.8-inch touchscreen display with an aspect ratio of 19:9. It is powered by a 1.9 GHz octa-core Samsung Exynos 9825 processor that features 4 cores clocked at 1.9 GHz, 2 cores clocked at 2.4 GHz and 2 cores clocked at 2.7 GHz. It comes with 12GB of RAM. As far as the cameras are concerned, the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus on the rear packs quad camera setup consisting of a 12-megapixel primary camera with an 1.5 to 2.4 aperture, a second 16-megapixel ultra-wide lens with an 2.2 aperture, a third 12-megapixel telephoto lens with an 2.1 aperture and a fourth time-of-flight 3D VGA camera. The rear camera setup has face detection autofocus. There is a 10-megapixel camera on the front for selfies with an 2.2 aperture. The front camera also features autofocus. The Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus runs One UI based on Android 9 Pie and packs 512GB of inbuilt storage that can be expanded via microSD card up to 1TB. It's a dual SIM smartphone that accepts nano SIM and nano SIM cards. This device is powered by a 4300 mAh non-removable battery with 45-watt fast charging support. It also supports 15-watt fast wireless charging. This smartphone also supports Face Unlock. It features an IP68 rating for dust and water protection. Huawei Mate 30 Pro 5G smartphone will be launched in October 2019. The phone comes with a 6.53-inch OLED touchscreen display with an aspect ratio of 18.5:9. It is powered by an octa-core high-silicon Kirin 990 7nm processor. It comes with 8GB of RAM. As far as the cameras are concerned, the Huawei Mate 30 Pro 5G on the rear packs quad camera setup consisting of a 40-megapixel main shooter and a 8-megapixel telephoto lens and a 40-megapixel ultra-wide lens along with a 3D time-of-flight camera. There are two cameras on the front for selfies. One is 32-megapixel and another is 3D time-of-flight sensor. This device is based on EMUI 10 on top of Android 10 and packs 256GB of inbuilt storage. It is powered by a 4500 mAh battery with 40-watt fast battery charging and 27-watt wireless charging support. It was launched in black, space silver, cosmic purple, emerald green, orange and forest green colors.